Welcome across the globe to the IDP Plus Start Sit Show for Week 11. I am joined here by the famous Sean Teague at Sean8386, and I'm Ricky Rodriguez. But Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I don't know about famous, but it sounded nice.
Yeah, I had to Google it to come up with a good word for you, man. And that famous came up, so let's roll with it. Stuff.
Nice.
Uh, Hey, I am in my Scott Fish Bowl shirt today. This was actually last year's. Um, I was in the top 180 when we started the year, Sean, and Rasheed Rice went down and Godwin went down, and I've had two other injuries since then. And so I went from the top of the heap to I am fighting to make the playoffs, man. So I'm wearing this today for good luck. Sean, hopefully I'm going to bring you some good luck. Hopefully we're going to give some great answers to our live, both by voice and by whoever's watching this as well, to help them win their weeks this week and as we get closer to the playoffs. So, you ready to jump into the first question, man?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Stephen Smith, probably no relation to Stephen A. Smith on ESPN, gets us rolling, and welcome, Stephen. All right, so he's trying to decide between EJ Speed, Pratt from the Bengals, Ernest Jones, and Dorian Williams. Pick three solos or 1 point, sacks and interceptions worth two. So this isn't a big play kind of scoring system for IDP as we look at these names. So who are you dropping out of these four, Sean?
I am not dropping Speed or Ernest Jones for sure. So I think it's down to Pratt and Dorian Williams for me. And I don't think Matt Milano is back just yet.
He is not. He did begin practicing, so they activated him. They gave him the 21-day window, but he is not. He was not activated for this week.
And I mean, these are all really good options. They've all been good. Pratt's probably the most up and down here. And for what time Dorian does play, he's pretty efficient. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards dropping Pratt out of this group.
Okay. So you're leaning towards sitting Pratt on this one. Um, the one thing that I'm a little bit worried about on speed, in terms of once again scoring systems are different, but the game that the Colts are playing here against, oh gosh, dog it, I can't remember the name of who they're playing. They're playing the Jets. Thank you. The Jets give up the fourth least points to linebackers, and Speed is on the injury report questionable. And similarly, this year he had a full practice on Friday, was listed as questionable, and then ended up not playing. So for that regard, I'm a little bit more nervous about Speed. So Speed and Pratt are the two, Stephen, for you to decide between. You heard our rationale and thinking as to why. I hope that helps you to narrow it down. All right, Ken, welcome back, Ken Vasquez. Always glad to have you, Ken. Um, Ugo Amadi or Teron Johnson? And by the way, my compliments to our first two question askers, Sean. They gave us their scoring systems so that we could take that into consideration and answer their questions. And then in this case, didn't put Johnson, so we had to try and guess which Johnson. So kudos to Stephen and Kim to get us going here. So
It
let's
helps a
start with,
lot
yeah,
for sure.
exactly. So let's go with the first question on Amadi or Teron Johnson. I'm going Teron Johnson instead of Amadi, and I'll tell you why, because in being the Saints guy that I am. Amadi got the snaps in the slot last week in place of Alante Taylor. Taylor went to the outside. The reason Taylor went to the outside is Adebo was on IR, Lattimore got traded, but then Kool-Aid McKinstry was also out. McKinstry is supposed to be back today. If McKinstry is back today, I expect McKinstry and Shamar Jean Charles to be on the outside, Alante Taylor back to the inside. That's what I expect to happen. Even though Amadi was more productive, it was because of where he was, not that he's necessarily better than Shamar Jean Charles. So that is my thought process. If McKinstry is inactive, I actually will go Amadi. If McKinstry's active, I'm going Teron Johnson. Shoot holes in that, Sean.
That's solid. I picked up Amadi some this week, but he is as a last ditch effort. Uh, in case of there are some injuries in my other leagues, Teron Johnson is the guy here. He's fantastic. Even if he doesn't get the tackles, he's got that big playability that we're looking for. Going against the Chiefs, I think this week.
That
So
is correct.
big time players show up in big time games. This feels like one of those big time games. Uh, like I said, unless Amadi is guaranteed to play, he's probably going to be special teams.
Okay, all right. So we're aligned on that one. Okay, then full point PPR, Mooney or Rico Dowdle? Dowdle against Houston, Mooney and the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Broncos, who have been a pretty solid defense this year.
They've been pretty solid against the pass game as well. I don't think he'll have to deal with Surtain. I think Surtain will be after Drake London, so there is a chance he will probably get more targets this week, and he's been really good the last several weeks. I just don't trust the Dallas offense right now at all. Cooper Rush looked awful. I know Dowdle will be the main focal point here, but full point PPR, I think I'm leaning Mooney.
I am with you. I just do not trust this Cowboys offense at all. Cooper Rush. I own Prescott in one dynasty league, and someone
Mm.
else picked up Cooper Rush and has been trying to trade me Cooper Rush all year. And they started off asking for a second round pick, thinking I want him as a quarterback handcuff. Like, no, no, no. And now he's basically asked for a bag of peanuts, and I still said no to it. So Cooper Rush is a nice number two who can, with a strong offensive line like he had in the past, can help a team to do well, but not necessarily help the fantasy prospects of a lot of offensive players. So I think we're aligned on that. Even though he could hand off the ball, I just don't have any confidence in the Cowboys. I think they fall behind to the Texans significantly. And so I just think this is going to be a cluster of a game for Dallas.
Exactly.
It's going to force Jerry Jones to think about that whole thing where he said, I'm not going to do anything during the season related to my head coach. Fantasy sports. Welcome, Fantasy Sports. Always love having you, and thank you for always being a regular with us. Which three linebackers should I start this week? Oluokun, Zaire Franklin, Jack Campbell, Blake Cashman, or Josie Jewell. I actually tweeted out something about Jack Campbell a little bit about the show, Sean, before the show. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I did see that, and I'm a little nervous about that. We're expecting him to not be playing 100% snaps. They've shown the Lions have that once Rodriguez and everybody else is healthy, he drops back down every time.
Yeah.
Jules the easy out here for me because they're on a bye.
Yeah. So yeah, with Carolina being out on a bye, you're right. That's the easy one. And
And
then
then
the tweet for those that didn't see it, you can follow me at RickyRod66. I've been asked to do more tweeting, so I will try and do that with some like Sunday morning tidbits, for example. Malcolm Rodriguez is supposed to be active. As such, don't expect Jack Campbell to play 100% of the snaps. With that, when you're not on the field, just like a running back, if you're not on the field, you're not getting the touches. If you're a linebacker, you're not getting the opportunity for tackles. So I'm going to pull Campbell and Jewell out of this list. Sean?
yeah, I'm right there with you. Cashman, when he's in for however long, even if he's at 50% of the plays, this dude is productive. So he's a smash start. Franklin's one of the tops in the league. Oluokun's right there, even with his lower percentages, which I do think he has been in the 90s again. So uh,
Yes, he played 100% last week.
it
Actually,
was 100%. Okay,
it was
yeah,
100%.
yeah. You smash start those guys every time.
The one thing with Oluokun for people to be aware of, part of the reason he's not as productive as he has been in the past is they're actually using him more on the edge along the defensive line. As a result, not even at the will, but even actually more on the edge. So that is taken away from his positioning and his opportunity to generate the massive stats. But at least he's there 100% of the snaps this past week after 90 plus the week before, since he's come back from injury. So playing him, but don't expect as high in a stats maybe as you would have seen in the past because of how they're using him. Fantasy sports. Start Kyle Hamilton or Quentin Lake. Is Hamilton fully healthy? I'm interpreting that. That's my South Louisiana interpretation. I think Cully is fully. Um, so uh, Hamilton was taken completely off the injury report. Was a little bit nervous when we were watching the game the other night when he had the boot on the ankle, but it looks like it was extra precautionary. In this big game against the Steelers, I'm expecting Hamilton to play. Which one are you leaning towards, Sean?
I expect Hamilton to play as well, but Lake has been super productive. I feel he is the highest floor here between these two. Hamilton has that potential for the ceiling, not as great a floor, but he has been on fire lately, minus the injury last game. I think I'm going to go with my for sure play this week, Lake. I do feel confident in starting him over Hamilton.
Oh, fantasy sports! I hate to do this to you, but I'm gonna
Split it.
split it. We're gonna split the baby on this one. If Hamilton being completely off the injury report has me leaning his way, particularly against the Steelers, I expect they're going to figure out how to make him an integral part of this. The thing with Lake, 2 weeks ago, an interception late in the game saved it. Was it an interception or a sack? It was a sack late in the game that actually saved his production. A lot of his production on was that Monday night came in the fourth quarter of his last game. He's had me a
Yeah.
little bit leery as a result last couple of weeks. So I'm leaning towards Hamilton. So sorry to split it for you, fantasy sports, but you can look at our logics and feel which one, go with whichever one you feel better, or flip a coin. That's always an option as well. Harry Brooks, and Harry has been also a loyal follower, so I'm going to put in a quick plug for the show that releases on Wednesday morning. I tape it on Tuesday night. The podcast called the IDP Plus Advice Show, and those great nuggets you heard, like about Aluacon, for example, you will learn about that on that IDP Plus Advice Show. I've been going through every conference and every division and all the key IDP happenings from the weekend, as well as anything that's happened on Monday and Tuesday, to have you ready for your waiver wires and for the upcoming week. So if you haven't checked it out, which Sean clearly hasn't, check out the IDP Plus Advice Show. You will learn a heck of a lot. I'm doing snap counts. I'm doing positioning, etc. So anyway, great stuff. And Harry's been a loyal follower of that. So thank you, Harry. For
I
rest,
actually have heard that show, and I just have a terrible memory.
thank you, Sean. uh, for rest of the season, pick three. All right, we got DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Leggett, Legit, legit. I've heard it all three ways. Arjuan Jennings. I actually heard a broadcaster and analyst say it in the last game two different ways, so I'm not sure which way to
Wow.
go with him. But for the rest of the year, how are you ranking these five?
So I like the first three in the order they are in, and then I'm leaning towards swapping Jennings and Leggett. But Hopkins, with him finding his rhythm in the Chiefs offense, I think he's going to be fairly dangerous the rest of the season. Devontae Smith, he's going to be a little up and down with AJ Brown being there, Saquon Barkley going off, but he offers the second best, I think, scoring out of this group. And then Waddle, bit disappointing, but hopefully the Dolphins can find their rhythm here soon. And then Jennings, with the injury to Ayuk, he has that potential to go off a few games as well.
Jennings actually led the team in targets last week, and I know this is rest of season and all. And I have to admit, I love when Jalen Waddle scores the touchdown and does a little Waddle thing. I love that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there hasn't been a lot of that this year, has there? Uh,
No, not at all.
Not at all. So even with Tua back the past couple of games, I would almost, so I'm with you on the first two. I'm willing to put Jennings all the way in front of Waddle, and legit is definitely last. But with no Ayuk this year, and now Kittle, Kittle always misses a few games every year. He's supposed to be out today with this hamstring surprise. He was limited in practice all week, but came out this morning from Schefter that he's unlikely to play, and he's in
Yep.
the later game as a FY. So make sure for those of you with Kittle that didn't know that yet, have an alternative for Kittle just in case. But I'm going Hopkins, Smith, Jennings is my top three. Sean is going Hopkins, Smith, and Waddle. Okay, let's go to Legend. Welcome back, Legend. He needs two flexes to start. And look, you're very welcome, Legend, and always happy to help out here. So Williams, Cup, Hunt, Jaden Reed, Darnell Mooney. He needs to start two of
Two.
these.
Hmm.
So you got the Rams against the Patriots, the Chiefs against the Bills, who have been very susceptible against the run, very much so, in fact.
Mm.
We got Jaden Reed against the Bears, with the Bears secondary being quite the challenge. I expect the Packers actually run a lot more than pass. And then we talked a little bit about Mooney earlier. The other thing about Mooney we didn't talk about earlier, he came up on the Thursday injury report with a bit of an Achilles injury. Now on Friday he was removed from the injury report. That always makes me a little bit nervous when you're not on the injury report. You go, at least he came off. But of these, because of what I was just saying about the Packers and Bears, I'm pulling Reed out last. So, so what are you thinking here, Sean?
I'm leaning almost the two running backs, Williams and Hunt. But Cup is right there with them. So I'm down to those three right now. Uh, I do like Hunt. I mean, he keeps getting touchdowns. That's my favorite thing. And so he has a spot in my heart right now. I could see the Rams just running the ball a lot against the Patriots. I'm a little nervous about Cup. Maybe them scoring, getting out to an early lead and just grinding away with Williams. That's kind of my fear here. So I'm going the two running backs.
I am with you as well. I'm going to go with Kyron Williams and Kareem Hunt. Cup was my close one. Was my next one. Very close with Hunt. I just feel like this is a game that the Rams are going to try and establish the run against the Patriots, and I think the Chiefs are going to try and establish the run against the Bills. I'm not playing Mahomes in a couple of leagues where I have him. I'm sitting him for other quarterbacks, including one I'm putting Russell Wilson over him. So Williams and Hunt are the two for that we're going with. Legend. We have a consensus on this one for you. All righty. Fantasy Breakout. Welcome, Fantasy Breakout. Hey, and you weren't the first one to get a question in again today. That's 2 weeks in a row. Fantasy Breakout. You have to get in a little bit earlier, man. It looks like.
Slip it up.
All right, half PPR needs two wide receivers: London, Hopkins, Amari Cooper, Jamison Williams.
Ooh.
The first one I'm taking out is Amari Cooper. When you talk about a wide receiver wearing a cast, and he says, "Well, I think I can get by with it," or so, I forget his exact wording. It didn't exactly wasn't exactly inspirational when you have a wide receiver with some sort of cast in his hand. I'm sorry, that just I just don't buy it. Does that mean he's going to be more of a decoy as a result? Maybe he'll catch a couple. I'm just not feeling good about that. So he's the first one I'm taking out. I don't know if you agree with that or not, Sean.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And the Chiefs defense overall, and particularly against wide receivers, has been really, really tough. So he's out for me. I'll let you pick the
Hopkins
next one,
Hopkins is the for sure start for me out of this group.
which means
Uh,
you're a little bit worried about London and Surtain,
I
it
am.
sounds like.
I am. Sertan has been able to lock some of these guys up and limit them. Um, Plus, I feel like Cousins is kind of leaning towards Mooney here lately. Like I feel like their connection's a little stronger than London's. But I don't really trust Jameson Williams either. So I probably still start London. over Jameson Williams.
Yeah. So out of these, I'm going London and Hopkins as well. I know it's against Surtain, but London's a top 12 quarterback, and I think in this particular case, you're going to hate yourself if you started Jameson Williams and London has a good game. And look, there is a chance against Jacksonville, Jameson Williams catches 2 passes for 75 yards and a touchdown.
But if
Absolutely a possibility. Absolutely a possibility he does 1 for 13.
exactly,
So I'm going to go with the stud London. I'm going to go with Hopkins. And then he says, out of Cooper, Jameson Williams, and Rico Dowdle, which one of those would you put in the flex then?
hmm. Or should he play Rico Dowdle? That's on there also.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not playing Dowdle. Can't do it.
I
Can't do
guess
it.
you shoot for the upside and hope Williams gets one of those long touchdowns or a couple long passes. I think Williams is that third guy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not. I'm still not doing Cooper with the whole brace thing. We kind of trashed the Cowboys earlier. At least I know I did pretty much
Yeah,
on the
we're
Dowdle
gonna have
thing.
to see the Cowboys do something before we can trust anybody. CD Lamb being banged up too makes it more likely they can just crowd the line of scrimmage and just make Dowdle's life completely miserable today.
I think if this game gets a little bit out of hand, which I think it will, I'm not necessarily betting it, but I think that's what's going to happen. Then CeeDee Lamb with the banged up shoulder and so forth.
He's
I
out.
think they'll take him out the game,
Yeah,
and
they would have to.
yeah, it's just going to be bad. It may be a Hunter Lupke and I don't know who's the third string right now, Deuce Vaughn, I think. Might be those guys running out the game. All right, Stephen Smith has one more question for us. Should I drop Dorian Williams and pick up Overshown and start him out of one of those three? Now, Overshown, surprisingly, just a little bit context before I let you answer here. Um, Overshown left the last game with a knee injury. I think he did end up going back in at the end, but then he had it was a little bit swollen and bursitis and so forth. But he was taken completely off of the injury report. So, Sean, you dropping Dorian Williams and picking up Overshown?
I don't hate this one bit. Also, with Matt Milano potentially coming back soon, that's another reason to go ahead and cut bait. And if a guy like Overshawn's sitting there, we've seen him get sacks. He flies all over the field, racking up tackles. Yeah, this is a good move. I would do this.
Yeah, you get the ding, 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 ding on that one. That's the other thing I've been trying to warn people in the IDP Plus Advice show. Matt Milano, the 21-day activation started. Wasn't activated to start playing. He wasn't at to the 53 this week, but it's coming. Now, the expectation is that he will take his old slot back from Dorian Williams.
Right.
Of course, if Terrell Bernard gets hurt, which he was on the injury report, questionable, should be playing with. He's banged up again with a couple of. It was two different things. I can't remember exactly what they were. There's a risk that Bernard gets hurt again, and Milano slides into that middle spot, and Williams plays as well. But right now, with both of them healthy, and no question about Overshown, who's been playing over 90% of the snaps with the Cowboys outside the injuries, you go with Overshown. I would probably try and trade Dorian Williams here. A lot of trade deadlines are coming up. A lot of suckers who weren't aware of the Milano thing, see what you can get from him. You might be able to get a steal. So I wouldn't drop him outright, Stephen.
Even if Dorian Williams keeps a starting role by injury or whatever, the Cowboys' defense is going to be on the field a lot. That offense is terrible. So Overshawn's going to have more tackle opportunities. That I still think it's a great pickup, regardless if Williams stays a starter the rest of the year.
That is an excellent call out, Sean, and that's why I called you famous at the beginning of the show. You know your stuff, man. All right. Harry Brooks. Do you like Evan Williams rest of season over Tyler Nubin or Taylor Rapp? And is Rapp the safety in Buffalo that plays near the line of scrimmage? Not really.
Yeah, I like Hamlin out of Buffalo more than Rapp.
Yeah.
Uh,
To answer that latter question, Hamlin has been playing more snaps closer to the line than Rapp. But
I like
out of
Williams, but I don't like him more than Nubin. But I do like him more than Rapp. I would slide him right in the middle of these guys if
so
he's healthy and if he's playing.
Yeah, so Evan Williams is one of the ones I tweeted about this morning, and I actually said if he's active, play him. So he he's been used deep, but he's also been used a lot with line of scrimmage. There's a lot of that, and he's just been active as hell and running all over the place. And it's part of the reason he kind of bumped Javon Bullard out of the lineup. Newman did play a lot more close to the line of scrimmage, but part of and they had great stats this past week. But part of it was because Pinnock was out and they were playing Dane Belton in his place.
Hmm.
And the Giants are of course on bye, so we don't have a good read for this week. But in this case, I like only because I think Newman has the 100% snap capabilities, where Evan Williams there might be a little bit of platooning, and Williams coming off an injury. I'm going Newman, Williams, and Rapp because Hamlin is above Rapp for me for the Bills as well. So there's your help there, Harry, on that one. And he's also asking, once Greenlaw returns to the 49ers, is he a top 15 linebacker? Top
Ah,
15, pretty
that's a
high.
lot. Yeah. Coming off an Achilles, I believe. That's
Correct.
asking a lot. That's asking a lot. Once he comes back, I don't even know if he'll jump right into a full time role. I think Kim and Campbell will kind of rotate that out a little bit just to kind of ease him in. Um, I don't see it this year.
Yeah, I don't see him as a top 15 either. In fact, as of now, the 21-day window has still not even been activated for him at this point. And because they do have Devondre Campbell, to Sean's point, I have talked about Campbell is someone on the IDP advice show. I've been talking about trying to trade him and all because I think both would be platooning and part-time role. And if Greenlaw does end up starting more, then Campbell becomes a third linebacker, I suppose a second. But still, I don't feel good about Greenlaw this year. So none of us feel top 15 for sure on that one, Harry. All right. Our man Axton, good morning, man. Hopefully you're doing well, bud. And there's no way anybody's, at least I'm going to trade you one of my quarterbacks in our IDP Plus Dynasty League. Okay. That just turned too far. Fantasy breakout. Oh, he had to drop Will Anderson because of the injury, probably to pick up somebody else. Oh, that hurts. So who you
Hmm.
picking up out of Montez Sweat, Jeff Simmons, Danico Autry, Sam Hubbard, and Epinesa? Oh man, what a massive drop off from Anderson to these guys. I know
Yeah,
who I'm
these.
thinking, Sean, but who are you thinking? I'll let you go first.
I'm stuck between Simmons and Altree right now, which Altree taking over for Will Anderson pretty much. He's been on a good little roll these last couple games. Now, once Anderson comes back, we may see him disappear a little bit again into a rotational there up front. But for right now, the direct replacement is Altree for me.
I'm going to go Simmons. I'm going with the
I was
second one.
I was
That,
I was thinking Simmons too. Yeah.
that's the one I'm leaning towards. Autry is a little bit older in the tooth, and I know he missed a lot of the season because of that suspension. So at least he should be a little bit fresher. But
He's playing
Montez,
Dallas.
yeah. Oh, and that's a good point. I was thinking rest of season. He's saying for this week. Okay, so
Yeah.
let me just rethink about that for a second. We got Tennessee against Minnesota. I'm still going with Simmons even more so. They're going to line him up over Ed Ingram, who,
Mm,
according to PFF, I remember watching the screen because it was because Ingram went to LSU. Sorry, I try not to be biased, but when they showed the guards and the PFF stats when they're introducing Ed Ingram LSU, the PFF rating for guards, he was like either 63 out of 64, 61 out of 62, something like that, right? It was
not
bad.
good.
That is not good. So I'm going to go Simmons over Autry as a result of that. Montez Sweat is particularly for this week. He's still coming back from that injury. He only played 45% of the snaps this past week. I was very
Yeah.
disappointed in his performance year to date. He got the big contract, and I'm not seeing the production like we saw last year. Hubbard is playing injured, and he was actually down in the high 40% of snaps this past week. No way on Epinesa. All right. There's all your context, fantasy breakout. I'm going Simmons. Sean's going Autry, unless I changed his mind.
Nope. Nope. I feel actually I feel both those guys are really good options over the others. So either one of those would be
Okay.
fine.
Juan Pablo. Okay, he's got a flex question for us. He's got Kenneth Walker and Chase Brown. You know, there are worse options to have at running back, and particularly in your flex spot than Kenneth Walker and Chase Brown, particularly with all the buys. There's probably a lot of people saying, I wish I had that, was in that situation, as opposed to considering Keenan Allen or Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah.
He's got, two
Yeah.
basically top 12 running backs here. So, Juan, I hope this isn't a humble brag, man.
Yeah. You poor guy.
Yeah.
I still like Walker. Um, I do think he's probably got the tougher matchup here, but his touchdown potential when he's on, I mean, he can really be on. And Chase is solid, but I'm going with Walker. I do think them being behind, I think he gets enough catches to hang in there as well. So Walker's the guy for me.
You're going Walker. Boy, for me, it's a coin flip. Like as you were talking, I went back and forth, I think, 3 times on this one. I think they're probably going to both do fairly well. I don't
It
think you're
should be.
wrong with
It's
either
close.
one.
Yeah,
It is really, really close. The Chargers defense has been tough this year.
that's true.
Uh, so I'm going to lean towards, okay, I'm going to go with Sean and Walker on this one. But boy, if I had something more strong in my Yeti, I might be tempted to go the other direction. Okay, Grim Maniac. I don't know if we've had Grim Maniac before this year, so welcome, Grim Maniac. Glad to have you aboard. You're a huge underdog this week, and so he's got to choose one of the. You see now. This is an example of the previous question of Walker versus Chase Brown in a flex. This is more of the flex questions I expected this week for Hockey.
Yeah, yeah.
Chris
This
Brooks,
is in it right here.
and it's a half PPR. For me, I'll go first on this one. I've been having you go first on a lot on them, so I'll go first on this one. I'm actually going Dearness Johnson. Brooks, has been coming in second, but he still hasn't owned it outright with Emmanuel Wilson. Javonte Williams has been playing on passing downs primarily. Only had 2 carries, if I remember correct, last week because of Estime. Justice Hill, there's a chance Keaton Mitchell gets more involved this week. They've been talking about that. Bigsby's out. Expect Jacksonville to be behind. Dearness Johnson, I think, will get more playing time as a result because I do think the game will be a blowout. So I don't think
Yep.
they'll risk ETN because he's a little bit banged up still. That's my logic for Dearness Johnson. Are we going unanimous for Grimaniac?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The Jaguars have just been awful this year. Have not been consistent. They are going to be behind. Check downs, some late rushes up the middle. I think Darius Johnson's your best option here. Travis Etienne has not really held down that spot this year at all. That's why Bigsby was able to push for it and kind of take that spot away from him. There's no point if they want to try to recoup something out of him this year. They're not going to play him too banged up.
Yeah. And Grimaniac, this is one I would tell you don't look at the box score because
No.
it'll be early fourth quarter and Dearness Johnson would be having about 2.1 points and you could be like, oh my gosh, and then by the end of the fourth
Yeah.
quarter he'll have about 8.5 or 9. So
Garbage time hero this week. Yeah.
exactly right. So don't look at the box score, Grimaniac. All right, fantasy breakout, one of our favorite regulars. After answering for this week, please rank them D-lines rest of season. So I'll quickly go back to his question real
I would
fast.
move Simmons back on top for rest of the season, just because Autry will probably lose a lot of his playing time once Anderson comes back. Because I believe it's Settle and I forget who the other guy is in
And
the middle.
Mario
That'll turn
Edwards,
into a rotation. Yeah, Edwards.
is back from suspension as well. So I'd actually go rest of season. Simmons, Sweat, and Autry would be my 3.
Yep.
The other 2 I'm not really considering. All right, so we are falling a little bit behind. It looks like we have a lot of questions in here, and so we may have to pick up the pace a little bit. If you want to make sure that you get your question answered in the next 25 minutes or so, please use the super chat. Sean will be scanning down the list for any of those that come in. If you get a super chat, we guarantee you before we go off the air that we will answer your questions. Okay, Fantasy Sports is asking, has Chin finally comfortable with the Dan Quinn system? 3 big games. Is he a top 12 safety going forward? Sean, you're
Yes.
nodding your head yes.
Yes, they finally figured out how to use him, and he is going off.
And he's being used correctly. He's healthy. This Thursday night, 13 tackles, third week in a row with 13 tackles. Regardless of scoring system, I don't see how he can be a top 12. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, if you're a defensive back getting over 10 tackles multiple weeks, you're on my radar as one of the tops.
All righty. Fantasy breakout. With Buddha out on bye, should I play Brandon Jones, Morig, Hooker, or Riley Moss? I'll tend to steer away from the cornerbacks when I have safety choices.
For sure.
So that probably puts Moss last on the list. Jones,
It's
Morig, or Hooker? That's a
yeah,
tough one.
Murray and Jones are the two I'm really looking at here. Jones has had some big games. Murray has too. Um, he gets the Dolphins this week. Expect a bunch of big plays to come up his way to make some of those tackles. I think I'm leaning Murray.
Yeah, and it's Morig, not Morig. Thank you for fixing me up on that one. Brandon Jones against Atlanta. Brandon Jones has had a couple of games in the last few weeks where he's had over 10 tackles to the point we're just talking about on Chin. I feel like that could be one of these games too, where I think Atlanta does try and run the ball a decent amount against Denver. I'm gonna split it on your fantasy breakout. I'm gonna lean on Brandon Jones. It's close, but I'm gonna just go a little bit towards Brandon Jones with this one.
I don't hate that either. I really don't. Yeah, those two are really close.
Okay, Half Witty. I think Half Witty is new to us. Welcome, Half Witty. Um, Half Witty, Zach Allen or Thule with a bad matchup. So you got Denver going against Atlanta, as we've talked about for Zach Allen, and on the other side, Thule going after Cincinnati. And part of the reason this is a call out is Thule's had 2 sacks last week and 2.5 the week before.
Last week was against the Titans. Or was that the week before?
I can't remember, but the matchups
Titans are
were
awful.
yeah. The matchups were primo for Thule the past couple of weeks, and Khalil Mack ended up only playing 4 snaps and then was out. And on
Yeah.
top of that, it was announced that Boza, who's only been playing 18, 20 snaps the last 3 weeks, will be up to about 30 snaps. So where that's going to be taken from, I think Thule takes a hit on some of his snaps.
I'm leaning. I know he's got the hot hand, but I feel like Allen's the safer play.
I'm going with Allen as well. I think that's a safer play as well. I think it's a better matchup. I think between the Bijan Robinson and running as well as Tyler Algier, and I think Allen might be in line for a sack on Kirk Cousins, the statue in the pocket. Particularly if he goes, particularly going up against McGarry on the right tackle side. So we're going to go with Zach Allen. We're going to think there's going to be a negative regression on Thule after 4.5 sacks over the last 2 weeks, and we've called that right a couple of times this year, Sean. So I'm feeling good about that. All right. I think we have a new one here. Sean 17. Welcome, Sean 17. DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, or Jonathan? Is that Jonathan Taylor? It's got to be Jonathan Taylor, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't think of any other JTs. This feels like another one of those humble brags, man.
Yeah. This is for flex.
This is for
Must be
flex,
awful. Yeah.
exactly.
Better than half my teams.
So Jonathan Taylor against the Jets. The Jets haven't been able to stop the run. I expect Taylor to get 18 to 20 carries today with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. I think this will line up for a lot of tacklers for Sherwood and Quincy Williams for the Jets. But I love this for JT. DK, look, Sutton and DK, I'd be fine with if that was my choices. But I've got to start Taylor in this matchup.
I'm with you. I'm still a little worried about DK being completely healthy, and Sutton sometimes disappears, and it's aggravating. but he has been hot here lately. Uh, but when you have Jonathan Taylor, when you got one of the best running backs who can get a couple passes, I think it's the way to go.
All righty. We are unanimous on the Jonathan Taylor one. Let's go to Dan B. Dan B 2387. I think Dan is also new, unless he's changed his. We did have a Dan, but I don't know if this is the same Dan. Half PPR scoring. Start Evan Ingram or Tucker Kraft at tight end. Let's start there. Ingram or Kraft at tight end?
I'm taking Kraft. Ingram's been good, but the last few weeks he has not. With that offense being a little different, they're running more two tight ends. I think Brenton Strange seems to be getting quite a bit of work. I think, and so teams can double up on Ingram because they're not worried about Mac Jones throwing the ball right now. I feel Tucker Kraft could at least give me a touchdown.
I have to admit, oh, you know what? No, I can't. I'm worried about the Bears secondary on Kraft, but of course Brisker did get put on IR. Elijah Hicks is putting up okay stats from an IDP perspective, but the other thing too, by the way, from a prediction standpoint, I expect CJ Beathard to be in the game somewhere around the middle of the third quarter for the Jags as well, which actually might be better for Ingram, but I'm still going to go with Kraft on this one. I can't trust those quarterbacks. All right, which wide receivers should I bench out of Higgins, Pearsall, or MVS? This one's easy for me, but Sean, your call, buddy.
You're benching MVS?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but yes, I was ready to go on to the next question.
Yeah. That was the
Yeah,
right answer. Yeah.
yeah.
MVS,
So
I'm only playing in super deep, super desperate situations. Other than that, he's, I'm hoping for a touchdown, but it's probably not going to happen.
is there a chance he gets a 40-yarder for a touchdown? Yes. But it's MVS, guys.
He's
the
lied to us
Bills
so many times. Yeah.
the Bills let him go. There's a reason. The Saints picked him up off the scrap heap after he had been there. You know, play the odds. Play the odds that this isn't going to happen again. That would be negative regression on that one. Okay, let's go to Juan here. All right, I think Juan at least sharpened the question a little bit this week from in the past. So Juan says, who for wide receiver 2 and flex? Jennings, Myers, Mooney, Downs, Etienne, Stevenson, and Walker. Well, hey man, you got to narrow it down a little bit more for us next week. um, so who you going for? We need one wide receiver in the flex out of this list.
Oh, man. Look at all these options. ETN's out. Downs is out for me.
Yeah, you can't play Downs with
Um,
Richardson. We hadn't talked about that yet, but
no.
any coach wide receiver, but you can't do that. I'm leaning towards Jennings in the Seattle matchup as my number 2 wide receiver on this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Mooney's a very close second on that. Um, would I start Mooney over Walker? I guess is where I'm really at.
I'm going to go with Walker. I think Walker is going to be a top 13, top 12 running back this week.
Yeah, I'm leaning there, but I do expect a good game out of Mooney as well. Yeah, Jennings and Walker. That's our choices.
That's our answer. Okay, let's go to fantasy breakout here. Who's asking, um, with Speed having a bad matchup, should I play one of these instead? Sherwood on the other side, Overshown, Henley, or Ellis?
Yeah, wow. Sherwood's been on fire.
Yeah, I love Sherwood had 17 tackles last week,
Yeah,
and
I have
I
no
think the Colts are going to run like crazy.
yeah, I have no problem starting Sherwood at all, or over Sean right there with him. Yeah, I would bench Speed for either one of those guys, but he's the hot hand right now. I'm playing him everywhere.
Exactly. Sherwood for sure over Speed. Now, and look, we love Speed. This is embarrassment of riches we're talking about here. So, but we'd go Sherwood on this one, particularly with Speed having the low injury thing that we talked about. What if there's an aggravation during the game? Definitely going
Sure.
with Sherwood. Okay, looks like Juan needs to drop a quarterback here. Which one you dropping, Mayfield or Purdy? I don't know
Oh
if I'm
wow!
dropping. I don't know if I'm dropping either one of those.
I can't, look, with all the injuries the Buccaneers have had, Mayfield's still producing. So I can't drop Mayfield.
I'm
Hurt.
looking if you have to create a roster spot for some reason, I am trying to trade I'm looking at other teams' rosters and saying who needs a quarterback and offering them Mayfield for, something of value. And you can play the yeah, he's on bye, but Evans will be back next week kind of thing, and then that'll free up Otmore and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm doing on that one.
Who's your starter? That's what I want to
Yeah,
know.
probably Lamar.
Yeah, it about have to be.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, he needs to start two, as does NK. Welcome, NK. Tyreek Hill, Lad McConkey, Cedric Tillman, or Reed. I think I have
Reed's
my
out.
answer. Reed's out. I'm going Tillman against the Saints, and I can't bench Tyreek Hill. I'm sorry, even with the wrist thing and so forth.
Yeah. I was leaning the same way. Tyreek Hill's a must start if he's on the field, and I do like Tillman with Jameis Winston there. They're definitely going to be throwing revenge game for the at the Saints there. McConkey's not terrible. I just feel like Herbert's spreading the ball out a little bit more, and it's run heavy.
Yep. So we are aligned. Tyreek Hill and Cedric Tillman. NK. Ed C. I don't know if we've had Ed C in the past. Welcome, Ed C. Cortland Sutton or Puka. I see the fascination with Sutton in Denver against that porous Atlanta secondary. The New England Patriots secondary, I know Gonzalez is getting a lot of hype and so forth, but I don't think Gonzalez is shadowing Puka necessarily.
No, I don't either.
Um, I'm going with the stud. I'm going Puka. Even though I talked earlier about the Rams, this being more of a run game, I still think Puka will get his. Cup will get his as well, by the way. That was a tough
Yeah,
choice earlier when we were talking about Kyron and Hunt and Cup. I'm going with more of the stud on this one. I'm going Puka. Sean?
yeah, I'm going Puka too. But yeah, the matchup against Atlanta, who's missing almost their entire secondary, is juicy. Uh, yeah, I'm going with the guy I drafted higher here. It's Puka.
Okay. So we're down about 12 minutes left, folks. If you want to get your question answered for sure, please use the super chat. We'll make sure we promise we'll get to your question before we end the show here. Otherwise, we may not be able to guarantee getting to everybody here. I am going to jump on R a little bit because Skywalker has been a regular on this show as well as on the IDP Plus Advice show. So I'm cutting him a little bit higher in the line. So he's saying which two safeties should I start? But I think he means linebackers here. Aluakon, Hanley, or Cashman. We talked about Aluakon earlier, back to 100%, but being used a little bit on the edge. Hanley, who is also now playing 100% for the Chargers, and they've moved away from that rotation. And of course, Colson has gone on IR, or Blake Cashman. Three really good choices here. Which way are you going to steer Skywalker in terms of which one you're not going to start?
Man, this is tough for me. I don't see just a very easy answer on these guys. I have a little more pause with Cashman just based on playing time. So that concerns me a little bit, but he's highly productive when he's on the field. Um, boy, oh boy,
Which one do you
I think
feel best about right now?
probably Henley is
I
being
think
the most for sure thing with Lewican's alignments eating into his a little bit. I got a little concern there too. So Henley for sure,
would
and then
Tennessee be productive enough on offense that Minnesota's on the field enough for Cashman?
see, I feel Cashman could get a sack or something here. That's where I'm at right now. I feel like Flores could send him up there. That's a terrible offensive line. Um, I think I'm going to go Cashman. I do think the big play happens today.
I I'm going to be with you. I'm going to go Hanley and Cashman, and I know Aluakon has the name,
Yeah,
but I'm going to go Hanley and Cashman on this one, and just hope that Cashman doesn't get hurt during the game. All right, going back in order here for a couple that I skipped. Okay, we're going to go a little bit faster here, Sean. We won't be able to give as many details. So Travis Etienne, Tillman, Flowers, and JSN. Pick two.
Give me Flowers and Tillman.
I agree. Same answer for me as well. Okay, NK has another question for us. With Kittle out, Kraft, Schultz, or Brock Wright? I'm not doing Brock Wright. In fact, Siltra could just as likely get the one touchdown a tight end gets instead of Brock Wright.
Yeah, they have so many options on Detroit. I'm not trusting that. I'm going Kraft. Schultz hasn't done enough for me to say, yeah, he's a must start.
Exactly. In fact, in one of the Kings Classic League, Dalton Schultz just got dropped that I'm in. So I'm going to go with you with Kraft as well. The Joker, not the Penguin, not the Riddler, but the Joker asked Taysom Hill or Dawson Knox.
This is a fun question. I think I want to take Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I'm going to take Taysom Hill too. On the radio, they're saying, oh, Josh Allen and Dawson Knox are best friends, finally freeing up, blah, blah, blah. All right, it's still freaking Dawson Knox, who hasn't done anything since around his rookie year. Taysom Hill at least has a chance to do something, play a little bit running back, a little bit tight end. I wouldn't even be surprised if the Saints pull some sort of trick out and Hill throws Hill throws a 30-yard pass to someone. But it won't be MVS. No, it won't be MVS. All right.
Foster Moreau.
Rochita, welcome back this week, Rochita. Pitts, Ferguson, or Hunter Henry?
Ferguson's out for me right now. I don't trust that offense at all.
And he's a little bit banged up as well.
Yeah. Henry's been getting a lot of action here, and they are going to be behind. But I think I still want to take Pitts. You going Henry?
I'm going Pitts by a hair. So I think Sean has Henry a little bit higher than Pitts. I've got him neck and neck, but barely Pitts. Rochita, there you go. All right, Rochita has one more question for us. Among some sort of spam that is populating our inbox or comments for some strange reason here this week. But Tank Dell, McConkey, Jennings, Waddle, sit one.
Ooh. It's between Waddle and McConkey.
I'm with you. I'm playing Tank and Jawan. Those two I'm playing. So then now I'm sitting Waddle or McConkey. I got to sit Waddle.
Are you? I don't hate it.
The Bengals secondary the Bengals defense in general has been picked on quite a bit.
Yeah.
And Tua hasn't shown the love, and maybe this is the game finally.
Yeah. I'll go with you because I don't expect I expect the running backs to take over that Raiders game anyway. I'm with you. We'll see.
All right.
It hurts.
All right. Harry's saying IDP advice is a great listen by Ricky. In-depth analysis and a big help to plan ahead. Thank you, Harry. I appreciate that, buddy. Maybe Sean will listen to the whole show one of these times.
Hey, I did, because you were running on like 3 hours of sleep, man.
You did listen. Okay, fair enough. You did listen. All right, good deal. All right. Samuel is asking us, and I think Samuel might be new. Welcome, Samuel. Needs 2 wide receivers in the flex. George Pickens, Hill, Metcalf, Sutton, Debo, Samuel, and Tillman. Excuse me. Another embarrassment of riches here, man.
These guys are great drafters, all of y'all.
Yeah, we got some very savvy players listening in here.
Hill and Pickens are the first 2 for me. Like I'm starting those 2, and boy, oh boy, do I take Tillman with garbage time or a lot of? Is this PPR? It doesn't say.
You didn't say. I think we have to assume PPR on this one.
Okay. Give me Debo as the third guy. Pickens, Hill, Debo.
Pickens, Hill, and Debo. Metcalf coming back from injury. Um, I don't hate any of these guys. I don't hate Sutton's either. I don't hate Tillman's
Right.
either. I could see why you're asking. Um, you know what? Uh, yeah, I'm okay. I'll go. I don't know, man. I think Jameis is. No, you know what? The Saints are still going to be running the rush, running from the rush of this kind of interim head coach thing for one more week. So I'll go with the three you went with as well. See, look at this all-star streaming crap that is spamming us. That's like the fifth time. It's driving me nuts. And that's a short drive for those that know me. Um, Fantasy breakout. You got that one, huh?
I got
And yeah.
you.
Uh, okay, yeah, no problem. Fantasy breakout, buddy. Okay, let's jump to Leo here. Half PPR, need a wide receiver and a flex. And welcome, Leo. I think you're new to us as well. Dobbins, Chubb, McConkey, Jennings, or Jalen Reed. Half PPR, wide receiver, and a flex.
Let's go Jennings as the wide receiver.
Agreed
You
with
good with
Jennings
that?
as the wide receiver. Yes, I am.
All right. Oh boy.
I'm actually going to go with Dobbins as the flex. I know there's a lot of people, and it is the Saints, and the Saints have been run upon a lot. But I'm sorry, Chubb hasn't demonstrated anything this year that says I'm fully healthy and yes, I can run for 120 yards and two touchdowns as being proposed by a lot of analysts that I've heard this week. So I'm going Jennings and Dobbins on this one.
I don't hate that. I really
All right.
don't. Um,
Leo has
yeah.
one more quick question here. Need two wide receivers with a half PPR. McConkey, Pickens, Shakir, and Jennings. Half PPR. That makes me do Pickens for sure out of this list.
Yeah. Yeah. Full PPR. The other two could rack some stuff up, but Pickens has been on such a good roll with Russell Wilson now. I
All
think
right.
he's the
So
answer. Oh, you need two. Oh,
two.
Pickens and
Jennings is my second one.
you take Jennings over Shakir. Mm,
I'm
I'm going
counting
to take
Jennings for a
Shakir.
touchdown. I can feel Jennings with a touchdown this week. Okay, so we're splitting the
That's
second one,
yeah,
Leo. And there's a great argument for Shakir as well. McConkey's probably last on both of our lists, particularly in half
sure.
PPR right now. Okay, nothing better than talking. I agree with this, Nathan. You're right on, and agreeing with Gary's comment. Indeed, Ivan is asking us, and I believe we've had Ivan in the past. Welcome back, Ivan. Start DJ Moore or Amari Cooper. Ooh, this is a tough one with the way the Bears' offense has been.
It's not been great as of late, but you got the cast concerns of Amari Cooper, and his usage has not been all that great. Um, I expect both these teams to have to throw a good bit. Man, I think I give the slight edge to DJ Moore here, just for hope that he racks up more catches.
Yeah, it's and with Cooper with the brace that I talked about earlier, I'm going to go with a healthier guy. I'm going to hope the new offensive coordinator says maybe we should throw it to this talented guy who we just paid this
Yeah,
massive contract to. Okay, Leo is asking, and by the way, I see a few rest of season questions in here, folks. We're going to try and do the start sits, and we'll try and get to some rest of seasons next week. Or come to our Discord channel on IDP Plus if you're a member, or ping me maybe an IDP Plus advice. Okay, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, or Elijah Moore. Pick one.
mm, I might take Elijah Moore here. I don't feel great about it. But Mark Williams has only caught the one touchdown. Keenan Allen, I just don't have a lot of faith in. I'm going to take more, but I don't like it.
Full PPR, I'm going Elijah Moore. The more I think about it, I think Moore will outproduce Judy this week. He won't outproduce Tillman, but I'm going to go with Moore as the choice out of this one as well. Joey's asking, and some people have asked multiple questions. In fairness, we're going to try and jump around to some people who hadn't had one question answered yet, in trying to help out a little bit of everybody a little bit. Chase Brown and Charge Pickens in a half PPR. Guessing this is for a flex position.
Oh, it's Pickens.
It's
No,
Pickens.
I can't sit him right now. Not with the way he's playing.
Agreed. Okay, half witty. Zach Gillen it is. Similar question about Branch. Awful matchup at start your studs. Lots of people on the waiver wire that he's listing here. I'm not sitting Brian Branch.
No. Your next best option here for me is Hamlin. So that's the best I got out of that. But yeah, Branch.
Okay. Mahomes or Herbert? I'll take this one. I'm going Herbert.
I'll take Mahomes this week. I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout. I think it'll need to be.
I disagree. I think that's going to be a close game, like 23-20 or something like that. So,
Yeah.
sorry, we're splitting on you, Jason. By the way, welcome, Jason. I think you're new as well. Herbert's been very good the last for the last 5 weeks. I'm going Herbert on this one. Judah, welcome, Judah. I think a very new one here. Pick one: Swift or Stevenson.
I'll take Swift. Not by a lot. Stevenson's yards just haven't been there, but he is getting the touchdowns.
If Stevenson falls in the end zone, but the Bears against the Packers defense, I'm going to go Swift. It's close.
Yeah.
Fantasy Sports, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, buddy. In the IDP advice show when it gets posted on Wednesday morning, would you mind telling me how to block the bots? And if you could teach me how to do that, I will do that for next week so we don't have to deal with this.
We're old. We don't like technology.
Will, thank you, buddy. Hit the like button. I really appreciate that, Will. Thank you for posting that up there. We love Will. Thank you, Will. Okay, Fantasy Sports is saying, let's see, thanks for taking and breaking down the division detail. Always look forward to the IDP Advice show and really appreciate the effort. You're welcome, Fantasy Sports, and hopefully we're helping you guys win some games and bring home some championships. Joseph Winkler, who's been here before, should have started Quentin Lake or Lenore, the new highly paid cornerback?
It's Lenore on this one. Lenore's been on fire. Seahawks give up a lot of points to cornerbacks. Yeah, give me Lenore over Lake. I don't always take corners over safeties, but yeah, this time, yeah.
All right, we're gonna roll with Sean on this one. Sean's feeling it in his crystal ball. We're gonna go with Lenore on that one.
Feeling it.
He's feeling it. Sam, good morning. Jennings or D Hop?
D Hop. That connection's there.
I was worried you were gonna. I was worried you were gonna say that. Oh.
You got McCaffrey still. You got Devo still. Pearsall is going to come in there.
Jennings is still going to get a touchdown, but I'm going to roll with D Hop. Okay, D Hop goes 8 for 92 today. Okay, that's the call. Sam. Oh, you think he's going to get a touchdown too? Okay. Right. Sam also needs a replacement. Does he go with Dowdle or Estimate? Oh, Sam, I'm sorry, man. That's all I can tell you.
Oh no. I haven't seen enough out of either to really want me to go with it.
I don't think Estimate had a single target last week.
Right. And Dowdle could probably get a few checkdowns. Garbage time. Let's go Dowdle on this one. I don't like it. You going to Estimate? Ooh.
Oh, I am.
It's getting tough.
I'm going to go Dowdle as well. How come I have a gut feeling Estimate is going to fumble and then Peyton's going to put him on the bench?
Yeah, we'll
and if he doesn't fumble, he'll get 11 carries for 37 yards without a touchdown and maybe one catch. Sam just added, Estimate is a fun option. I know. Not very fun for us. I gotta tell you, Sam. I love your humor, trying to make humor out of this, but
we all feel the pain
coming. We're gonna go Dowdle, but man, if you don't expect more than 6 points. Okay, we'll put it here. Okay, we're going to steal this. Thank you, Will. Appreciate that. I'm going to copy this here right now before I forget. All right, I think that wraps it up. Hopefully you had a little bit of humor. Hopefully we taught you all a little bit along the way, and hopefully we gave you some great advice for this week and for the rest of the season. Please join us over at IDP Plus. If you like this episode, please give us a thumbs up. So over at IDP Plus, folks, great articles, great rankings. We've got some great tools. A lot of the snap count stuff you hear we're talking about is a fantastic tool. Check that out. We have an injury report tracker, team fantasy points allowed by position for both offensive positions and IDP positions, not to mention our weekly fantasy finishes by positions, which is a great tool for each individual position. You can see, Foyer Lulicon finished 13th overall this week and then 22nd and first. You can see the trend over time. It's a beautiful tool to use. Our YouTube channels here on IDP Plus Fantasy, we have IDP Bets and IDP Plus Bets and IDP Shorts, which I keep on mentioning. People winning a lot of money on the props bets for IDP players by following us on that. With that, we will call it a wrap, folks. Have a great week. Be safe. Be kind to one another. Thank you all, and good luck this week. Thank you, Sean. Great week, buddy. Bye.